Have you heard of Hunter the Parenting?
Well, I have. Hunter the Parenting
Right.
was a spiritual successor to What If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device.
Yeah, and within this context of 40K, they were very good. Within the context of the World of Darkness, I want to line these people up and slap them until they can't fucking see.
I mean, it's really that they're trying to do the characters the Games Workshop took from them.
Well, no, it's not just that. So within the context of their storyline, okay, a facility was broken into. One of their membership
Mhm.
was killed, and another one of their membership was kidnapped by werewolves. It's a bad day, right?
Yeah. That's
So
why being a hunter is a bad time.
right. So they called together all the big organizations, and even though the primary characters are a bunch of radical dudes who are too cool for the coalition, the Second Inquisition is like, no, we can help you guys out. We just need to work out the brass tacks of it, right? And
I mean,
what
that's terrible.
precedes what precedes is a disingenuous, bad faith meeting in which basically every faction that offers a hand says, by the way, we're going to extort you and we're going to leave you high and dry and we're going to screw you over, including one that is very clearly a Pentex front that wants to, in perpetuity, steal their child and put it into generational slavery in front of another group of hunters.
I mean, that's fine, right? That's all fine.
Except that's not how any of this works. It is an entire thing of all stick, no carrot in front of people who should be smart enough to realize, hey, wait a minute, something is wrong here, right?
Mhm.
And then the only group that stays after the Pentex boys are like, you know what, we rescind our offer, get bent, right? Is the ultra religious, quote unquote, I didn't know this one, Gladius Day,
Mhm.
because whoever the fuck is writing over at White Wolf Paradox apparently, went through Pig Latin once, right?
Well, I
And
mean, it's you apply Gladius where Opus is,
but
and
wouldn't it
like
be wouldn't it be Gladiae?
Church Latin's a little different.
Sure, but either way, their thing is like, we'll help you, but you have to join us, which was a carrot put out by or it was a stick put out by a different one of these organizations, which has the same problem. All of these people are like, we'll help you, but you got to work for us. It's like, wait a minute, let me get this straight. You want us, who are stated not to like to be joiners, to join you only because you have our arm twisted behind our back, and you expect us to be loyal, grateful, cooperative? Like we're not going to burn you and screw you over and steal from you at every fucking end? And
Mhm.
then they follow it through by no one bringing up the obvious, which is, guys, they violated the sanctity of one of your institutions, stole a bunch of shit, and kidnapped a person. And the longer that person is in werewolf custody, the more they're going to make him talk. This is a short term problem we need to address directly, presumably with high firepower. This is not the
Mhm.
time to quibble about the cost. But see, that's the thing. Moody and I had this conversation before. If you were a newbie to the world of direction, you knew nothing about it, right? And this was your introductory material, if this was your education, and hey, here's what Hunter is like, it is a terrible education material, because the guys in question, whether it's because they're making jokes or because they honestly don't know what the fuck they're doing, have awful characterization for the things that they're representing. It is just rancidly bad, and I do not advise it to fucking anyone. It fills me with so much of the angry.
I mean, these guys could have just made a Space King, right? At least
Right.
Space King has heart.
Space King is dumb. Space King is vulgar, but you know what? Space King doesn't give a fuck, and I appreciate that.
I mean, it's dumb and vulgar in the way 40K is dumb and vulgar.
In the way 40K used to be dumb and vulgar.
Yes.
It's one of those hot button issues now that when you say, well, 40K is a satire, everyone's like, no, it's not. That's a dog whistle. I'm sorry, guys. I was alive in 1992. Okay,
It's a
but,
satire on several levels. It's a
but
satire that has gone on for so long, it's satirizing itself.
not just that, but the thing it's satirizing no longer exists. Right? 40K is a satire in the same way, and it's funny because they directly rip it off, that Judge Dredd is a satire of Margaret Thatcher's Europe.
Yes, but
Okay?
Judge Dredd isn't really a good satire of Margaret Thatcher's
Right,
England.
but 40K never wanted to be good. 40K wanted to sell plastic mini-mins.
And
It just
they did a good job at that.
It did. It just happened to be good by accident. It became good by consequence. I have occasionally thought that if I could put together something, that it would be fun to grab you and Church and Ayrton and go, okay, guys, we need some content. Let's 40 keck. And it's like, oh, we're gonna do battles. Like, no, we're gonna play the role playing game. I want you guys to go be Inquisitor guys. It's like, yeah, but Joe, we're bad at that. It's like, I know it's gonna be great, but my point is, okay,
Mhm.
is the whole time I'm watching this with time, comparing it to what we're dealing with over in Owen's game, right? Now
Mhm.
we're playing vampires. We're the other side of the fence, right?
We are.
But our depiction of secret societies, much as I suggested earlier today in conversation, is so much better because it's like, look, there's carrot, there's stick, and there are a bunch of secret societies with their own bullshit. And we just discovered that two competing secret societies, one of them is controlling a third. Fuck.
Yep.
You know,
It's a bad time. It's a bad
and we,
time.
and we're in a secret society fighting another secret society.
We haven't reached the point where we can use the reference, but Black Dynamite, I sell drugs in the community.
I mean, look, you're trying real hard. You're trying real hard. But I gotta. I'm not gonna name names, but I'm gonna say that like I had a conversation and one of our membership is he's struggling a bit because he's struggling with other people
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
because I can organize the thoughts of one character as saying, oh, they're really young and this is neonate
Yeah,
struggle
yeah, yeah.
with eternity, right? But this person posits that they do this a lot in a lot of games across situations, and it
Mhm.
kind of bothers them, but they don't know what to do about it. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I like we hope his character gets better because I don't actually think there is a good solution to our current problem of a bunch of soul shorn persons. I just think that it is difficult to explain to people how it is easier to explain 40 missing persons who disappear with no evidence than it is to explain 40 brain dead people.
Mhm. Exactly.
You know, um, hi, for anyone who doesn't understand what's going on, Larry and I are in a vampire game, being vampires, and we got nerd stuff going on. And one of the problems with our nerd stuff is that we're supposed to role play keeping it secret, but sometimes you leave evidence, and the evidence cannot be readily done away with. So you have to create contexts where the evidence either leads them astray or it looks like it's something else. And we've tried to propose making it disappear like a cargo container full of immigrants from China, but the the problem is some of our fellow players have started clutching their pearls and saying, "But that's awful. If you do that, you're as bad as the other guys." And it's like, look, man, we're not as bad as the other guys because we're not doing this as our first response. We're doing this as our unfortunate last resort. Nobody wants to do away with a bunch of normies. If we could find a way to save them, cure them, restore them, and return them, we would. But that's that's the crux of the World of Darkness. For anyone that hasn't played it, is you're presented with dire situations. You must choose between one of several bad decisions. The the basic problem being that in a badly made game, you just have bad decisions, and the bad decisions are no good because they're not contextually logical. In a good World of Darkness, uh, you have several bad decisions, and the worse they are, the more appealing they are, because evil is supposed to be seductive in the World of Darkness.
So the best part about talking about bad position is it gets us to talking about the Mandalorian and Grogu, a
I
a
mean, I,
product
I
a
mean, I am
product
gonna,
of bad
I'm
decisions.
yeah, I'm gonna insist though on continuing to use Drinker's term, the mango and grok. I think this is an excellent name.
I mean, Mango and Grok would be better if they were more Miami Vice coded, which would mean you could actually see most of the movie because it would be well lit.
Yes, that was actually the funniest thing. Is I watched it by means in locations, and it looked like it was in a theater, which
Mhm.
is not ideal,
I mean, you
right?
were in the theater, right, Joe?
Absolutely. I was in the theater. I was right there. But you know what? I suspect if I hadn't been behind some guy and kind of seeing the back of his head, it still would have looked reasonably difficult to identify.
I mean,
Um,
3/4 of the movie was lit extremely dark.
well, I mean, I understand that at least some of it is here we are at Nal Hutta. It's all worm tunnel,
Oh no,
right? Which is,
that wasn't even Al Hutta.
I mean, it was clearly a hut aligned
Oh,
settlement.
oh, 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 oh! I thought you meant the city. I thought you meant the city. No, no, the city was the one that they used from Obi-Wan. But we're gonna talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Uh,
Joe, what was your overall thoughts about the cinematic abortion we both watched?
bland.
Yes.
Bland and unwilling to commit. But I'm gonna start off with a controversial opinion. You can feel free to disagree. We can debate it out. Not bad. Possibly badly made, but not like it's not poor.
So
It's
let me.
just it's just at every opportunity where they could have gone farther, they pulled back from the brink.
Okay, so it's worse than bad. It's tasteless. It's gruel. Because you
Yeah.
see, at least something that's bad, you're like going, what the fuck did they do to make this taste wrong? You at least have something to make experience out of it. This was just sludge. So
Well,
first of all,
let me make a quick comparison so we can clearly understand where we are.
oh,
I watched Deathstalker 1 with my friend Ty, with the intent of watching Deathstalkers 2 and 3 so we could watch the more recent Deathstalker, which I have seen, but I'm like, I can't introduce a friend to it who's never seen the originals, who can't understand why this is a cult phenomena if they don't see the phenomena, right? The thing is that sadly, Deathstalker 2 is kind of bad.
I mean, they're all bad, but at least they're interesting.
Well, that's like Deathstalker 1 is like rape all day, every day, which is not so great, but at least it's interesting as a Conan knockoff. Um, Deathstalker 2 is really bland in my experience.
Mhm.
And the reason I bring that up is it's like if it was bad but serviceable,
Mhm.
I'd watch it, right? But when it's just bad is bad, it's like um Mango and Grok is kind of in that zone where I'm like I don't really necessarily want this.
It's worse than bad. It's it's the thing that makes you ask, who is this for? Why was this made?
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. You said it's like 6 episodes condensed down into a film.
I would say it's a full 6 episode season that's been compressed. Maybe an 8 episode with the 2 part season ender cut off, and all the you see the knock, which is true on streaming series, is they're movies that get inflated. But you see, when you inflate something, there's at least a superstructure to it. But when you compress things, you smash superstructure, and you don't have something. Now you can cut things, but this didn't cut. It mushed it together.
So here, I'm gonna shut up for a minute, and I'm gonna let you talk. Do you just want to describe the plot, such as it is, of the Mango and Grok, so I can get into the deep dive on where I think it has problems?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the plot of the Mandalorian and Grogu is the titular Mandalorian goes to a quest giver who gives him a fetch quest, but it's not a
It-
straight fetch
well,
quest.
well, can we point out that this quest giver is Sigourney Weaver because we were able to pay Sigourney Weaver for a weekend?
Well, I was going to get to that in a moment, but
Okay.
we're going to the plot. But to get the first item on the fetch quest, he has to go on a subsidiary fetch quest. And to get the secondary quest giver to give him the information he needs to go on a third quest to get the information for the secondary quest giver, which gets him to the primary source of information he needed for the first quest giver. But then he has to go on another fetch quest. And this maddening process continues until the final third of the film where they say, fuck it, we need to just do a
I
big dumb action sequence.
I do agree that the abuse of um the MacGuffin plot across Star Wars
Oh no
material.
no 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 no! I'm not even calling this a MacGuffin plot because you could do a MacGuffin plot without it being a fetch quest. This is straight up the worst part of any video game, where you go to the quest giver, you go to get a quest done, but you can't get the quest done because you have to do another quest. And just when you think, okay, got this quest, no, no, I don't want it. Okay, fine, I have to do another quest, and
Right.
then it goes to
So
a climax because they knew they had to at least have a climax.
well this brings us to the next thing I have to say, the next critique. We're talking about, well, why is this so vapid and empty? Unearned. A
Well,
lot
we're
of this feels unearned.
so let's go back to the fetch quest problem.
Yeah.
They use a motif from the Iraq War. Sigourney Weaver is basically like a military contractor manager who hands him a deck of cards to go after a bad guy who's part of the Empire. Is there any consequences we learn about that? No. Um, Dave Filoni brings back his son
Well, I mean,
of Jabba.
let's mention this because this is good. So you know that whole Iraq War and frankly Afghanistan War on Terror thing of the deck of cards.
Right,
That's not a literal deck of cards. People were not carrying around decks of cards. It was a euphemism for the organizing the number of big bets.
right,
But here it's a literal deck of cards. All of them are bounty fobs.
right.
So he can literally carry the card for the bad guy he's hunting.
I mean, I don't even hate that. I don't even hate
I think it's kind of on the nose lazy, but I mean it is expected at this
but
stage.
but I hate this because the card they gave him didn't have the image.
Well, it's the Joker. That's the joke. They don't want it. They don't want you to know it's the Joker, but it's the Joker
Yeah,
because their bad guy is so secret that they don't have his face.
yeah,
In
exactly,
fact, in fact,
exactly.
his name is just Coin. He's just the Money Man. Bwahaha.
Yeah.
because don't think about it. Just be impressed by the visuals.
Now, in some of the ancillary media from both the extended universe and the Disney canon, how the Empire handled the money of becoming an empire was interesting. It had meaningful stuff to it. We could have used that to make it something interesting, but we didn't do that. The only thing remotely interesting was we get to see Jabba the Hutt's son, who's working as a pit fighter for some
Except
reason.
it's not. Except it is 100% not interesting.
Well, no, hold up, hold up. The idea of Jabba the Hutt's son wanting to become a fight guy, like a pro wrestler, and not be like his dad. That idea is interesting, but it needs to be developed.
No,
Well, no, no, hold up, hold up. It
okay.
needs to be developed. It needs to connect to the themes and the motifs of the show. But instead, it's got none of that. It's a member berry that could have been interesting. Like, for example, the Mandalorian can't carry around the small green child forever. It's not something narratively that makes sense. But and this would be great as a thematic thing where the Mandalorian learns that being in somebody else's shadow shapes him, and maybe he reflects on how the shadow of the Mandalorians who saved him after the death of his home world shaped him and molded him into what he is, and he needs to give Grogu some more freedom, even though Grogu had rejected the freedom. Look, characters can backtrace on their motivations. It's a thing that could happen, but that would have at least been an engaging thing to use Jabba the Hutt's son in as a plot device. That could have been interesting, and you could have had a character who had some interactions that could have been meaningful. But they didn't do any of that because he was there to stutter a line, which freaked me the fuck out. Where he just basically repeated the line in two separate sections, and I thought I had a stroke.
Which
It was
line? Because I
weird.
apparently missed it.
That I want to be my own man. I don't want to be like my dad. That's why I'm here fighting. And once I finish my last fight, I'm gonna get my freedom. It was repeated in two separate scenes,
Right.
and I'm like going, "What the fuck?"
No, that
Uh,
that did happen. I just didn't notice it as egregious, but I can see how it gets stuck in your head. Mm.
and then they mimic the fight from the Millennium Falcon chess set, which
It was almost kind of neat.
it was almost clever. But then they find that the guy who was there who had enslaved Jabba the Hutt's son. I don't know why he was enslaved, eh, and with a contract he'd get out of. I don't
He they,
understand
they
that.
said they said he owed debts, but they didn't say what the debts were.
It didn't make any sense. No, no sense at all. So they
None, none,
catch.
none, none of this makes sense. We're literally Carl in Aqua Teen. None of this matters.
So they get the bad guy, who he could have just told him that after the second time he went to say, "Listen, we need to break you out of here." It's like, oh yeah, the guy you're wanting, he's the one who's running these fights. That would have just made it easier for Mando just to murk him and then break Jabba's son out. That would have been way easier. And then he could have deposited him someplace where there's another gladiatorial pit. It not well thought out. And then there's the final sequence that I watched the best of the worst review of it with the Red Letter Media
I
guys.
I did
And
not watch it, not because I didn't want to, but because I wanted to consume the material in an unbiased fashion.
well, yeah, yeah. But they mentioned this is like shitty movies who film a whole bunch of stuff out in the woods because it's free. And
Right.
even though this wasn't free, it's the same mindset of, oh, we'll just film out in the woods. And, Mandalorian gets poisoned, but he gets poisoned when the two Hut twins say, "Yeah, we're just gonna kill you and take your armor because it's really valuable." And ha ha ha, we've dishonored you in your culture. And he's like, ha ha ha, not if I kill you first. And like, oh wow, the movie was almost interesting again. But then the Mandalorian got poisoned, and Grogu had to go on a fetch quest
Well,
to get the cure.
well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. Okay, let's use that as a guideline here. The Grogu having to actually like save his not dad almost works, right?
Hmm.
Except if we are honest with ourselves, none of it is earned. Again, unearned. Because it's not really so much by Grogu's own strength or cunning. It's just I have force powers. I'm making things happen. When we
One,
compare to just this idea anywhere else, where it'd be like, oh no, the Mandalorian's in trouble. Whatever will he do? Will he better use some gunplay or some cunning misdirection, or any number of other things that we assume Grogu has learned in his time with the Mandalorian?
now, you know what's funny? You know
Hmm.
what's very funny? This was actually something that they did in the Red Letter Media review, which you didn't watch, but that's okay.
Okay.
They talked about in the Fistful of Dollars how Clint Eastwood tricks some bad guys by propping up a corpse to make them think the corpse was alive, and they all
Right.
went out to Shanghai the corpse while he did something clever.
Yeah.
That is that is what they should have done, but it didn't because it's not well thought out. But the problem beyond things being unearned, there's no real stakes. Why is the Mandalorian going out and catching bad guys for the Republic? Why is the Republic rounding up the bad guys? Is it that there's like a war crimes tribunal going on for members of the Empire? Uh, is there political thoughts about that, especially
Well,
considering context from Andor?
want to say nothing of the fact that apparently this guy is operating outside Republic space, which means, yeah, sure, he's a war criminal to the Republic, but functionally they have no jurisdiction. So what the Mandalorian is doing, when you boil it down, is extrajudicial kidnapping.
The legal term is bounty hunting.
I mean, yes,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean. He's he's not doing a good deed because he's a good boy. He's doing crimes for a government.
It's crime time, exactly, exactly. But the problem I have is that we don't know the stakes of why the Mandalorian is looking for things. We don't know the stakes of Rhoda the Hutt has been imprisoned for debts. Were they his debts? Were they his father's debts? Is the fact that he doesn't want to be a part of Jabba's legacy is that once Jabba was killed, he inherited all his debts and he was able to sort of look at the full scope of the inequity and that made him a changed person? Again, all of these things are ideas that could be interesting if the story was written like well or coherently. But again, this was clearly a season of television that was turned into a movie, and it's not shot, like a movie. It's shot like a television show.
Well, since we're speaking about shots, I want to mention something because one of those almost impossible to see dark scenes, they did something utterly disgusting. That's not gross, but it's like, come on, guys, was I not supposed to notice? Or worse yet, were we supposed to notice and you thought it was a good idea? Did you catch that? Apparently, the Mandalorian fought Kung Lao.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so we have a three-way fight towards the end of the film. We have the Mandalorian fighting another bounty dick,
Hmm.
right? An honor guard working for the bad guys. We have the big bads fighting with Rada the Hutt, and we have Grogu doing a Groguing, right?
Hmm.
And we are supposed to think this is a desperate action set piece. Except it's a bunch of flashing lights and noise. It has no symmetry in the combat,
Hmm.
right? And at one point, the bad guy whips off his fucking rice patty dome, right, and literally bonks it into the Mandalorian like Kung Lao throwing his hat.
Now, you know these droids, because I think that was a droid bounty hunter
Yeah,
who
these
you're talking about.
leftovers from the war.
They're not leftovers from the war. They are droids that were referenced in Star Wars Rebels. It's a
Oh, you
callback
mean
to Dave Filoni.
like all the other callbacks in this piece of shit? Because of course we had what's his name from Rebels, voiced by Stephen Bloom, the whole time.
Who was just driving.
Yeah, he just literally shows up and says, "Hey guys, remember when I was in that show you liked?"
I mean, I didn't really like the show.
No, I mean that's what he's there to say to people
Yeah.
that did like the show. Is, do you remember that show I was in that you kind of liked? And I mean, for Stephen Bloom's end, I want to point out, like, he's making bank. He's okay. He's not suffering.
My thoughts about Rebels are it was watchable.
I mean, I watched a fair amount of Rebels. I liked its depiction of Thrawn. Everything that Dave Filoni has touched since then has been a far touch from Rebels.
And that's in large part because of internal Disney politics, which is the other interesting thing for me. Now, what I know from sources that I have is that up until the final resignation of Kathleen Kennedy,
Whose name
nobody
is
did.
still on the letterhead, by the way.
Yes, yes, still in the letterhead. Nobody believed in Dave Filoni at Disney, and Dave Filoni took his relatively strong, not great, but relatively strong fidelity to the Star Wars product, and watered it down until he got a promotion. And after he becomes the chief creative officer, he's assigned to make this turd. So I kind of feel like he was being sabotaged by the people who didn't believe in him. They couldn't stop him from getting a promotion, but they could use their producer bullshit to make him make a shitty movie.
Oh, it's not like I haven't talked about that today.
But I mean,
The, Go ahead.
doesn't that feel to you like what we're seeing in this movie?
Entirely possible. I was recently talking about the Punisher as a film franchise, and there was a conversation about which is best because people were talking about how it's not Punisher One Last Kill, and I said that the most comics accurate Punisher we ever got is actually Punisher '89, and people were like, no, Ray Stevenson, Ray Stevenson. And I'm like, look, it doesn't matter if you liked Ray Stevenson or not, and I like Ray Stevenson. He was great. The fact of the matter is that movie was fucked. And it wasn't, and they're like, yeah, that director was a woketivist because apparently she's gone, hard woke. And I'm like, that doesn't matter. And they're like, what? It's like, she was selected, quote, because she was a fighter, meaning that she was going to fight to get the movie made in spite of resistance. That resistance was Gail Ann Hurd, the wife of
Hmm.
the man who directed the Tom Jane Punisher film,
Yep,
right? She used her production credits to shit can that movie
yep,
because it wasn't her hubby's movie. She then went on to work on Preacher for AMC and Interview with a Vampire for AMC and other shit for AMC that has been a fucking dumpster fire because people in production, once they are a certain level of power, do not give a shit about the success of their product, only that they get their kudos and their money.
and we're going to be talking about that a little later in a little bit more intimate detail.
Oh boy.
But yeah, and let's circle back to Sigourney Weaver. I actually thought for a moment, did they recast Sigourney Weaver's Leia?
That would actually be smart. It'd be kind of stupid, but it would be smart. She's got the chops for it. I would be here for Sigourney or Organa Ball. You know,
Yeah, but she's just generic Leia knockoff. And like she's the third generic Leia knockoff in the Star Wars.
I mean, quite frankly, I don't know if he died. Could they not get Carl Weathers again?
Um, I think he died, but I also think that they didn't want to give him a better paycheck if he was alive.
I know. I think he passed quite suddenly, which was unfortunate.
Also, Sigourney Weaver was phoning it in.
I mean, yeah, but that's all they needed ever.
Dave Filoni's cameo was phoning it in, which is
I missed his cameo entirely.
he was one of the X-wing pilots
Oh, of
who
course.
uh, who they had at the Rebel base wearing a cowboy hat, so you knew it was him.
Right. I cared so little I did not see it.
Pedro Pascal also phoning it in. I mean, I also think maybe, maybe what they did was they fed their whole 8 episode season or 6 episodes, cutting off the final 2 episodes for the final 2 episode closing into an LLM and said, "Hey, compress this into a 2 hour movie script." And the LLMs are very good at building fetch quest architecture in their narratives.
Now, when you say LMMs, are you describing bots?
LLMs.
Are they using
I'm,
bots?
I think this script was made with the assistance of bots.
Right. So I'm going to assume that that's true conversationally, and then I'm going to say that this is not the problem everyone assumes it is, because everyone assumes the problem is, oh no, they used bots. The the artistic integrity of the work is destroyed. No, the problem here, if we're using bots, if that's what's going on, is that means that they put it in there and they asked the bot, "Hey bot, what's good?" And then they stopped there, right? Because the bot is fine if the bot is your first step, right? You say, "Okay, bot, I want to make a step fetch it quest using these materials," and you go, "Okay." And then the bot gives you some suggestions, and you go, "Okay, bot, I like this, but I don't like this," and it goes, "Okay." And then once you've got a workable frame, then you go do this hard part. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called writing the script yourself.
Well, I also think they used bots to compress the narrative of the story.
Well, it's the weirdest thing. You wouldn't have to do that if instead of compressing down several episodes, you just wrote a 2 hour movie.
And another aspect of why I think this may have been a fu to Dave Filoni is they turned this movie around in 2 years.
I mean, that actually should be like doable. Like that's not an impossible duration. It's not super fast, not super slow.
Well, no, because it takes some time to make a script for a picture. That happens before production's ever signed off on. My opinion is 2 years in, they said, "Listen, it's the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. We need to get 2 movies out. We got the Ryan Gosling one that's going to be coming out. We need you to get a Mandalorian and Grogu one out. So just take this season that we're not going to make of the show, make it into a movie."
Well, we know what. Here's the thing: we know what season of what show that is that they weren't making, and it's not even the Mandalorian.
Oh no, it was. They canceled season 4 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the tool they were using. Do you know what tool I think they were using?
The Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I think this was a bunch of the leftovers from Book of Boba Fett
It's
because
possible.
those two huts that are the uncle and aunt of
Of
Rhoda the
Rada.
Hutt are antagonists from Book of Boba Fett, right? So
I
this is one Mandalorian killing the antagonists of another kind of but not Mandalorian
but I
for a show
mean
that did not succeed.
but I mean, wouldn't it have been a good idea to have had Boba Fett show up and be somebody who helps the Mandalorian?
I mean, then they would have had to pay that guy.
But paying that guy would have, improved the movie because that would have been a sizzle reel. Like, Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian struggling, and then Boba Fett paying him back for his help.
Well, here's the thing, because this is what I was getting at in our conversations when I'm talking about unearned and unwilling to commit, right? Is my natural question is, okay, so why would Boba Fett show up? Vengeance. Why would
Yeah.
Boba Fett want vengeance? These guys tried to kill him.
Hmm?
Boba Fett shows up and is like, "I'm not here to help you." It's like, but why did you show up? It's like, I'm here to kill them for what they did to me.
And helping you is useful to achieving that goal.
Right.
And that's the disappointing thing. We are disappointed in Star Wars, but at this point, it's not like we expected them to do better. We
Right.
wanted them to do better, but we didn't expect them to do better.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. They mentioned in other media apparently the Man with No Name movies, and in our pre-show conversation where I just had to drop a comparison, I mentioned the Man with No Name movies. Right.
Mhm.
We are supposed to believe the Mandalorian is a Republic serial. We are supposed to believe that he is the Lone Ranger, right? Which is
Mhm.
supposed to make Grogu Tonto, which is
I
bad.
mean, I mean, I think he's more paladin.
He's not Paladin. Paladin would have actually been more, but frankly, moralized more. He would have asserted more rights and wrongs, right?
Mhm. Well, no, no, no,
But
not paladin like the fantasy concept. I mean, paladin like the
no,
old western
no, I'm
guy.
talking about the Western. Yeah,
I didn't remember it being that moralizing, but it's been a long time since I watched that.
I recently watched a thing by Razor Fist about westerns where he advocated for Paladin, which I do have the entire series on DVD here at the house. And as a for instance, there's an episode where Paladin's in jail or being held at least in a town where they don't allow firearms, and Paladin has a moment to soliloquize about how they have taken the weapons of self-defense out of the hands of the law-abiding citizens and only empowered the antagonists to rape, pillage, and plunder because they have disarmed the people who most need arms. It is a Gene Roddenberry joint after all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um.
I mostly remember it because of the song.
Oh yeah, song's great. But I mean, if we're gonna talk about old westerns for a minute, it's kind of a question because there's also the one with God, I forget the actor's name, Steve McQueen,
Yeah.
where he's a bounty hunter,
Mhm.
or my personal favorite because I'm a niche guy. I like Brandon.
Okay. Okay.
But what I'm getting at though is that the Mando is supposed to be all of these Western things, right? But never commits to a strong Western aesthetic moral convention, right? What we just proposed, this idea, okay, well, what if Boba Fett showed up and we had a sizzle moment where Boba Fett is here for vengeance, right? This would be a excellent story beat to contrast the two men, right? Because you've got Jin Djarin, who is trying to quote be a better man and fight for justice, right? And justice is saving Rhoda the Hutt from his in-laws, right? Because he's an innocent dude trying to make his way in the world. And then you have Boba Fett, who's like, no, I'm here for vengeance because I am angry and violent, right? Because he has given up on this idea of living better and being better because he's still a piece of shit bounty hunter at the core, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That would be like a theme, and you could have like stuff going on under the hood, and there could be meaningful commentary about the nature of violence and vengeance in a society, and none of that's going on here.
No.
Mango and Grok is exactly what people have accused it of being from the beginning. It is essentially for babies. It is kid stuff, and it's not very good kid stuff.
No. So I don't recommend that. Now, there's something that I have not finished yet, but I want to talk about, which is the Burrows, or as I called it, Stranger Things for old people. So, the show is about a planned community where everybody is 65 or older, and it's you got Albert Molina, well known for playing, among other things, Doctor Octopus, and he's an old man. His wife died. His wife signed an agreement to live in this place. He doesn't want to be there. He's not happy, and then the strange stuff happens. The guys behind Stranger Things were executive producers on this show, and he gets a plucky band of fellow old people who are struggling with the fact that, hey, we're old, but we're not, senile old coot old. We're in the 60 is the new 40 old, and 70 is the new 50 old, and they're struggling. And then there's some aliens, for lack of a better word, and they go on a little Goonie quest to find the aliens. And I got just to the episode 6 where one of the team joins the bad guys in exchange for everybody else being free. So I'm not going to go too much into detail on this, but what I find really interesting and something I enjoy about this show is, so it's a planned community for old people out in the middle of nowhere in Arizona. Let me tell you about the world building and how the world building leads to something good. So it was a coal mine area. There's a coal mine town. Coal mine almost went under. Then there was a copper mine town. But after the war and the Korean War, copper was all burned out. But the mine owner and his wife found an egg. Egg has an alien in it. And the alien, its blood, makes you functionally immortal. And it needs to drink people's delicious brain juices, though, to sustain itself. So what do? They designed the country's first planned community for the elderly. And
I mean, the juices clearly.
well, yeah, because like old people, they have issues, and they just pass away. And as health and wellness for old people gets better and better, they uh they 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 become juice boxes for longer. And at the end game of this whole thing is there's a nursing home at the planned community where everybody who's had too much of their brain juices sucked out gets to go live. So I think this is really good world building. It has really good actors. The writing is kind of eh. It's very focused in trauma, and you know how stories that are focused on trauma uh, give me trauma.
I mean, we love the trauma.
Yeah, it's all about the trauma theory of literature and everything. But the old characters, the old people, are plucky protagonists. Old people, for the most part, reject that narrative of trauma as dumb and stupid, and they just want to, fight some bad guys and get agency over their lives.
That's kind of impressive in this day and age.
And
A
also,
story in which people actually are like, no, I'm not going to be told what to do.
well, I mean, it narratively fits with older people who are struggling with how society treats older people. So they inadvertently did something interesting because they did something that was accurate to the state of old people.
Well, in that regard, I'm gonna segue us just a minute. You sent me a message, and I looked at it, I read it, I understood it, but I'm curious. Why would you randomly send me a message about some guy being very upset, rightly so, at the activists pretending that disabled people don't exist again?
I sent you that because it's about that wholesome cartoon of the crippled girl and her boyfriend,
Right, right.
and it's that they say, they're not validating the opinions of the people who have to be in chairs, when they're saying like, no, this is wholesome. This is what we want in a romantic narrative about ourselves. And
Well,
and, and I and I wanted you, a person who's experienced on your body not necessarily being what you want it to be, has some interesting context.
well, that's the thing. That's why I bring it up here, because functionally we all get old,
Yes.
right? That is a shared universal, and by that
Death
same
is undefeated.
and by that same metric, we also all ostensibly um
Break down.
like yeah, we all become disabled, even if you didn't start that way,
Yeah,
right? And being disabled, you just you learn to look at the world and say, fuck it, I'm not gonna do what you tell me to do. um
exactly.
that is more or less how disabled people make it through the world. Is we look at the powers that be that tell us what we're gonna do, and then we're like, no, I don't think I will.
Now, what I also want to say about this show,
Literally that Captain America meme. No, I don't think I will.
I have to say, in its world building, it's very accurate to these sorts of communities. One of the audience focusing characters got thrown out of the community center for being part of a 100-person orgy.
That's a bit.
The thing is, these communities for old people, they got a lot of sex going on. A
They
lot of
do.
sex going
They
on.
do.
Uh, Also, a lot of marital infidelity going on.
Look. My mom was in a care facility for a short term to recover from surgery, and she learned firsthand, not by view, but by talking to various individuals, that apparently the old people sexy times is like a common major thing.
Yeah, but this isn't even at the nursing home. This is in the planned community that's adjacent to the nursing home.
Right.
W- in dementia wards, it's a huge thing,
Oh yeah.
and it gets complicated where you could have one partner who doesn't have dementia, the other partner does, and he just finds a new girlfriend who also has dementia,
Right.
and it's complicated and weird.
Let's we should inflict that on the activists and go, what if you have two people who can't consent? Who consents?
Exactly, exactly. But that's another thing about this show I like, and the one of the characters finds a magic tree that bears a peach of immortality, which
Okay.
the show hasn't fully explained to me yet. And I'm like going, huh? Well, that sure is weird. But the peach of immortality doesn't interact with the alien immortality goop. And the alien immortality group also has rejuvenative effects.
I'm I'm so glad that I apparently, by leaps and bounds, have been improving in my writing, and one of the best things that I apparently do is not explaining shit.
Right. And
Because the very idea that you now have a setting, a
mhm.
system with two infinity goops, or an immortality goop, and immortality goop 1 and immortality goop 2, and they do different things, just makes me tired conceptually.
Well, the peaches were in another section of the mine, so we don't know why that's there yet. But the peaches are actually toxic to the people who are on the immortality goop straight from the aliens.
But why though?
We don't know fully yet, but there is a pseudoscience explanation possibly there. The aliens have non-human genetic chirality, so their genome goes the opposite way from ours. which makes me question how the whole immortality goop works. It doesn't seem like it would. Also, I have questions about why the aliens need to eat brain goop. But again, I'm only 6 episodes in. I haven't gotten to the final 2 episode boogaloo. But I recommend Stranger Things for old people. There's also the guy who is the from who plays Red Guardian in the MCU and who was in Stranger Things.
Oh,
Plays
you
a
mean the guy that was the worst Hellboy?
the guy that was the worst Hellboy. But again, I don't blame him for that.
I
No,
don't either, but I just wanted to make sure that we don't forget that that movie exists and was bad.
nobody in that movie did a good job.
Yeah.
Um, he gets killed by Gina Davis, escaping from him attempting to murder her.
Mm.
He's in a Ford Fairlane. How do you think they kill him, Joe?
You said he's in a Ford what?
Fairlane. And Gina Davis is the one escaping him. How do you think they kill him?
I mean, I would assume that they run him over with the car, but if he's in it, I
No.
don't see how he got run over. Okay.
Thelma and Louise. Thelma and Louise. The car
Oh.
gets flung off a cliff.
Oh, okay.
And there's lots of old movie references in the show.
Uh, See, that one would have eluded me because I didn't watch Thelma and Louise because I knew that was a rancid piece of ass when I saw it.
We're gonna have to talk about after the show about Thelma and Louise.
Okay. I'm
I
gonna get
have the
I'm gonna get lessons about how wrong I am.
no. I actually had an interesting college class involving Thelma and Louise.
Oh, okay.
With a hippie professor who
Well, well, I mean, I know we talked about mixtape, but I specifically mentioned my Substack, right?
you
Did,
mention your
did,
Substack every show.
well, every couple of last shows, but I specifically mentioned the title of the article I wrote, right?
What was the title?
The Ghost of John Hughes, and
Oh
talking about the kind of
yeah.
false reality that John Hughes
Yeah,
proposed
yeah,
that
yeah.
people have taken to be how things really were in me. It's like, no, that's a immediate depiction of a world that didn't exist.
I mean, let's not forget that mocking that concept was a key plot point of Dogma,
Right.
which
Um
was actually kind of clever that Kevin Smith did that.
well, it's proof that once upon a time Kevin Smith had talent and that the weed and the power has gone to his head. But I only mention it in passing because again, here we have a thing where it's like, why do things work in a given way? Oh, because we saw it in movies. It's like that doesn't make it good or right or real
Well, no.
or
Well, no.
applicable.
Well, no. In this case, they're referencing the movies because it's focusing on themes of nostalgia of people as they get old
Right.
and how nostalgia corrupts memory.
But what I was getting at, you said you took a course on Thelma and Louise.
Well, no, not on
The
Thelma and Louise. Thelma and Louise was one of the featured
was a
texts.
featured thing. Yeah. I the reason I know all this shit about John Hughes is because literally, as I described in my stack, I had to sit in on some guy's presentation where he literally talked for a half hour about how John Hughes was the modern auteur that we just did not understand how important his films were.
I mean, they aren't important though.
They aren't. He made fun trash. His best movies are not the ones everyone talks about, right? But to hear this person talk about it, like 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, are some kind of elevated trilogy about the nature of being white, upper class, and boring in suburbia, and it's like, no, because I was there, and that's not how reality works. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, here's the thing, actual thing. There is an ongoing debate right now on Twitter about the reality or lack of reality of fast food.
What do you mean lack of reality of fast food?
Let me see if I can find the post, but there is a person who claims that we basically had fast food every week in the 90s.
I mean, I don't want to engage with that. That's retarded.
Right. Um.
I mean, you could have.
Well, I'm gonna share a window here. Because this was the response. So the original post was, quote, boomers. I'm not a boomer, but I was there, right?
I mean, we are
Uh,
being we're being retroactively enlisted in boomers.
yeah, we're being boomered, and there we go. Boomers seem to forget that fast food used to be a normal, everyday expense for them because it was affordable. You could get a burger easily on minimum wage. It wasn't some fancy treat you had once a year as a reward for pulling yourself up by your bootstraps.
The fuck you mean once a year?
Right? So, Horror Amorta, someone that I follow, said kids today don't understand the reason for this meme, and it's completely the fault of their parents. If you want to share the screen I'm sharing,
Uh,
it's this picture of, can we get McDonald's? We have McDonald's
there we
at
go.
home, and the McDonald's at home is a burger between two pieces of bread and a handful of chips. Which, let me tell you, that was a good lunch
Mhm.
when I
That
was
was
a
better.
kid.
That was better than McDonald's.
I mean, you wanted McDonald's because McDonald's came with a toy, but this was good. This, I didn't complain about this shit, right?
But
What's what's more, I'm gonna deep dive here for a minute. Eddie Murphy, in his famous comedy routine where he's wearing the red suit, the Michael Jackson suit,
mhm.
does an entire bit about how when he was a kid in the 70s, this was a meal you got in black communities.
I
You
mean, you
tell
got to
mom,
do
I want
everybody.
McDonald's. You tell mom, I want McDonald's, and she'd be like, "We'll go get McDonald's." She'd take you home. She would make the burger on the sandwich. They'd be like, "But mom, it's square. McDonald's is round." She proceeds to cut off all the edges so it's a round piece of bread with like grease and condiments dripping off the sides. Like, there, eat it. It's like, oh, okay. Um, I commented, I said, quote, original poster's a base damn liar. Not only did we not eat fast food every day as an everyday expense, but I specifically lived in a house where we often went without because we only intermittently afforded things. I remember a month where we had potatoes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Uh, Horror Morta said, I don't know if it's a lie so much as a misinterpretation of the past. You can't blame them for overestimating how much more affordable things were back in the day when a lot of us a lot of times us old people will say exactly that things were just really so different. I said, you haven't lived until you invent the potato sandwich with a baked potato, mustard, and mayonnaise. Even splitting a Happy Meal was a great prize.
So you see, there are several things about this discussion that are that.
Stupid.
Well, first of all, there's actually an economics metric
Yeah.
about how many hours does it take a McDonald's employee, not including the discount, to afford McDonald's, and that has gone up and down over time as the salaries have gone up and down over time. It was actually less likely back then for a minimum wage employee back when there were more of them to be able to afford McDonald's than it is now when there are fewer minimum wage employees. It is a lot of misremembering things to make yourself angry when there are plenty of real reasons to be angry. But we're gonna do a detour a little bit.
Okay.
We're gonna go back into the world of comics,
Woo.
and I got the new issue of Barbarian Behind Bars, and I'm not happy with what I got.
Oh, that's not great.
So do you remember what happened to our titular barbarian behind bars?
Uh,
He got his magic doozy what's it pulled out of his head.
right. And there's a riot going on,
Mm.
and it looks like the power of evil has found a host.
Yes, but this is the issue where things get explained. So the guy who swallowed the magical doozy what's it he explodes because he doesn't get a grilled cheese sandwich to loosen up his bowels. So, important lesson,
Don't
kids.
think I don't think that works that way. I think a grilled cheese sandwich would do the opposite.
Depends on how much fat and butter you use on the grilled cheese sandwich when you're grilling
I tend to be lighting it because it's
it.
already got cheese, but okay.
Yes, but I mean, if you use a lot of butter and grease, that can lubricate some things. Um, and the barbarian's old celly gets the magical doozy what's it, takes it back in, implants it in his head, and our barbarian regains his power. The bad guy tries to kill him, but his defense attorney uh, takes the magical weapon, defeats the bad guy, and he rewards both of his friends who have helped him restore himself, be able to do his quest for his goddess by giving them the kiss of understanding, where he they rip off Starfire from Teen Titans, kissing to learn how to speak a language. Although they don't do that, he kisses them and gives them the ability to understand his language.
One, that's not a subversion. Two, that's kind of lacking. Couldn't they have had the barbarian like learn English the hard way?
Um, you know, they could have had his goddess give it to him. There were better options. But then they're like, bitch, before we help you fight evil, we need to know what the fuck is going on here. And he apologizes to them because he was following the old way, not the way of his goddess, and he didn't treat them with compassion and understanding like he is supposed to. And we finally, this is issue 4 or 5, I forgot which, I think it's 5, where he tells his backstory. So, you think he's Conan like? He's actually a Moorcock. His dad was the evil barbarian king of the evil interdimensional barbarian kingdom, who was the avatar of the evil god of violence and strife and war and all those bad things. And he was raising his son to be the next vessel for evil, training him, having him have sex with whores, doing doing all the good things in life. But you know what turns him away from being a vessel of the god of evil?
I'm gonna assume, even though I'm gonna hate to say it, I'm gonna assume it's that divine poon.
Oh no, no, no! It's the straight dick, Joe. Our big muscle bound bear barbarian finds himself a twink. His dad finds out about the twink and how he's becoming weak, murders the twink, and thus the barbarian swears to the goddess of, you know, compassion and blah 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 that he's going to murder his dad and defeat the god of evil and banish him from the universe. So here is my problem.
Okay.
My problem is instead of having it be a female love interest who gets killed, you have it be a male love interest. Why is the god of evil pissy that he's banging a dude?
Good question.
It's become a parable about toxic masculinity. Whereas we had a barbarian dude who didn't seem to understand English fighting some neo Nazis in a bathroom because they were fucking assholes who wanted him to join them because they thought he was one of them because he had dreads and shit and he was all like, Viking warrior looking. E- Bringing in the LGBTQ plus element to it just feels really unnecessary. And to go back to your Mandalorian and Grogu stuff, it feels unearned. It's a revelation that just kind of comes out of nowhere, and it's also weird in a prison setting.
Yeah.
What do you think about this narrative decision?
I'm doing some math real quick. So I am in a third short story in a week, 43 pages up on an anthology I've been working on.
Hot.
And you know what? We have interacted with 3 different powerful female characters, and my main character has popped a bone for none of them. But you know what? It's not because he's not into it. It's because he's got other shit to do.
I mean, Joe, you read 2 things I've written where the male protagonist finds a hot female protagonist, and they don't bone in either of those narratives. I set up the boning for later.
Right. It's not even the boning has to happen off camera. It's literally right now the boning doesn't matter.
And also,
Right.
the boning is there to establish characterization and develop relationships and such. You don't well, it's like the old Pink Floyd song. How could you have your pudding if you don't eat any meat?
Here's the thing. I am going to both invert an excellent story beat, and I am going to speak well of an absolutely rancid comic.
Mm-hmm.
All right? I fucking hate The Authority.
Because
it's
unimaginative.
Read a fuck ton of it. I don't actually enjoy it.
It's unimaginative.
I fucking hate The Midnighter and Apollo because it was always incredibly performative bullshit.
Well, no.
It was
you know what the literal inspiration for Apollo and Midnighter was.
It's what if Superman and Batman fucked? I mean, it's childish in the extreme.
Joe, no. It's literally inspired by Batman Superman / fan fiction.
And it's still gross. So good job. But here's the thing. This is why I bring it up. Whoever was doing the day-to-day writing, not the meta writing, had a couple of scenes where Apollo and Midnighter had interactions as a couple, right, that were non-sexual in nature, that were pretty bro tier. They supported each other. They evened each other out. They were, fuck me, a couple. Right? We're writing Barbarian in prison. Okay, fine. You want to spin things up and shock people by saying, well, actually, he likes the dick. Right? Fine. You don't tie it in to a cosmic plot. Right? And you certainly don't make it where the twink dick healed him because of his toxic masculinity. That's retarded. Okay?
It is.
What you do is you make a Rocky parable. There's your barbarian. Your barbarian is tough. Your barbarian is capable. Your barbarian is a man's man. He punches people out, he drinks beer, and he fucks like an animal. All of the things the dude thinks are great. Right?
Yes.
What does his twink girlfriend / husband do? Supports his ass. Right? And you have it. It's like what is his raison d'etre? He wants to get back to his own dimension. Why? I have to beat the big bad. Why? My wife is waiting for me. What? My man wife is at home waiting for me. I promised them I'd return. Okay, but why? It's like, what do you mean why? They're my significant other. I told them, I was like, I don't know if I can beat the big bad. They said, I believe in you. And I went off to fight the big bad, and now I'm stuck here. Right? It doesn't matter that the character's gay. It doesn't fucking matter at all. It doesn't actually change the context of the story if the story is about heroes doing heroism. But if you make the story about the dick will set you free, that's a fucking awful narrative nobody wants to read.
Nobody wants to read that, no.
Not only is it nobody wants to read it, it is 30 years out of date. Because that's why I stopped watching gay-aligned fiction with my mom. And you're going to go, oh God, Joe, that just sounds so weird. But no, my mom loved the show Gay as Folk, which in the UK, where the original is from, is actually enunciated gay as fuck due to a trick of linguistic trickery,
I mean,
right?
that was literally why the show was named what it was named.
Right. And in it, you watch a bunch of club boys be club boys, a bunch of guys going after Strange, a bunch of dried up professorial types trying to pick up men outside their age group, and of course somehow all the women they interact with are gay too because it's a big gay love-in, and everybody's gay and everybody's fucking everyone else, and all of the emotional context is with some combination of I want to get dick and I want to have dick put into me, and I found it all really tiresome really fast
I
because
mean,
there were theoretical story beats. There was creative something there that could have been interesting, but they decided to make it all base and venal and boring.
yes, it's all very tiresome and tedious. So, we now have some actual evidence to things that people in our scene have been talking about for some time. And I want
In the comic scene.
well, in the scene of people who talk about pop culture online and
Okay.
are critical. So just one second, let me pull this
In
up
that
here.
thing we are more or less outcasts from.
I mean, we're not outcasts. We're on the edge. We're living in a van down by the river.
We are, but I honestly suspect on some level that the reason we don't get the ever expanding range of viewers is because we refuse to dance for the cracker, which isn't that we aren't performing, but rather that we're not aligning ourselves with Nerdrotic. We're not
Eh,
immersing ourselves
the-
in this news cycle. We're not sucking up to the drama grift.
I mean, there are ways to do that, but
I'm
let
just
me hit.
well, I mean, I wouldn't want to. I think that their role playing takes over at the Speakeasy can get fucked, but that's neither here nor there.
Let me hit the play button here.
I am the senior vice president of late night strategy at CBS. I turned a comedian into a priest and charged advertisers to watch the congregation. In 2014, we had a genuinely dangerous comedian. We killed the character and put the real man on stage. The real man was a lecturer. Agreement is a transaction. Correction is a subscription. We converted a comedy show into a nightly software update for moral vocabulary. The president made a video of our host being thrown into a dumpster. It outperformed our farewell in 4 hours. His ROI was infinite. Ours required a write-off and a farewell concert. Applause is more reliable than laughter. I proved it. The proof cost $450 million, one character, and one audience's willingness to act. I am the...
Let me read the full post. I'm the senior vice president of late night strategy at CBS. I'm the person who turned a comedian into a priest and charged advertisers to watch the congregation. I want to be precise about what I built. Not a comedy show, a permission structure. For 11 years, 6 million Americans tuned in every night to find out what they were allowed to believe by the morning. We didn't sell jokes, we sold certainty. Certainty costs nothing to produce. People pay for it. We charged $50 million a year and still lost money because it turns out permission is even cheaper than we thought. In 2014, we had a genuinely dangerous comedian, a man who testified before Congress in character as a fictional conservative pundit, and he made the entire chamber look like they'd been pantsed on C-SPAN. His fake persona was the most brilliant satire on television. Layered, ironic, unpredictable. The character could say anything because nothing was real. The character was art, the character was the comedian. We killed the character and put the real man on stage. The real man was not a lecturer, earnest, thoughtful, correct about everything. Correct is not funny. Correct is not dangerous. Correct is the absence of danger. We promoted the absence of danger and called it growth. His character could make a Senate committee squirm. The real him makes an audience nod. Nodding pays the same as squirming. Nodding is easier to produce. His final words on the air were, "We love doing this show for you, but what we really, really love is doing this show with you." The audience wept. I wrote that line. not the words, the architecture that made the words feel true. For 11 years, the audience believed that we were participants, uh, that they were products. With you is what you say to a congregation. A comedian says at you. We hadn't said at you since 2015. Our internal metric was called the affirm rate. It measured the percentage of monologue segments that generated applause instead of laughter. I invented this metric. I also invented the bonus structure tied to it. In 2015, our affirm rate was 34%. By 2022, it was 94%. I received a raise every year. We were crushing it at the things I made up. That's performance management. But I need to tell you about the real discovery, the one that I put in a deck called Content Strategy 2019 to 2024, the one that got me promoted. Agreement gets applause. I knew that early, but correction, telling the audience that their vocabulary is slightly outdated. Their outrage is aimed 2 degrees off center. Their feelings are valid, but the phrasing needs work. Correction gets them back tomorrow. Agreement is a transaction, correction is a subscription. We converted a comedy show into a nightly software update for moral vocabulary. Churn was near zero. They couldn't afford to miss an episode. Missing an episode meant using the last week's words in this week's meeting. That's social death. We monetized the fear of social death and called it entertainment. I want to be honest about something. The content was not bipartisan. We chose a side. But I need you to understand, we did not choose it because we believed it. We chose it because it was that side's audience is more representative, more responsive, to correction. They wanted to be updated. They wanted to be told that their language is outdated. They experience correction as care. The other side does not respond to correction. They respond to provocation. Provocation is harder to monetize. You can't build a subscription on provocation because the audience doesn't come back to learn, they come back to fight. Fighting is unpredictable, correction is scheduled. We optimize for the audience that wants to be told what to think. The audience leaned one direction, that's not ideology, that's market segmentation. The writer's room had a whiteboard in 2015 that said, "What's funny?" In 2018, it said, "What should they feel?" By 2021, it said, "What are they still saying wrong?" I watched that whiteboard evolve like a finch beak, and I never intervened. The market was speaking. We listened. Listening to the market is the same as leading the audience. They can't tell the difference. A writer named Marcus raised his hand in 2019. What if we tried to make them laugh again? I thanked him for his passion and scheduled a creative alignment conversation. He affirmed to the streaming development. He was transferred to streaming development within a month. The affirm rate the week he left was 91%. Laughter would have brought it down. That's risk management. Here's what nobody will say out loud. I'll say it because I'm proud of it. We made our audience worse at politics. Not better, worse. Every night for 11 years, we expressed their outrage for them, professionally, with a band, and good lighting. And because of this outrage, because the outrage had been expressed, because a man in a suit had furrowed his brow with a precise calibrated degree of indignation, they didn't need to express it themselves. They watched, they clapped, they felt the catharsis of resistance without resisting anything. They went to bed having done nothing and feeling like they had done something. That's the product. Not comedy, not information, catharsis. Catharsis is the enemy of action. A man who has screamed into his pillow does not then also scream into the street. We were the pillow, a $50 million pillow with a house band. If you feel the outrage had been expressed for you, you will not march. You will not organize. You will not call your representative. You will tune in tomorrow to feel it expressed again. That's retention. Our retention was extraordinary. I want to talk about the comedy to catechism pipeline because I think people underestimate what we achieved. On stage one, the comedian makes a joke about the powerful. Audiences laugh because the powerful absurd. This is the Carlin model. The jester punches up, everyone below feels relief. Stage two, the comedian makes jokes about people who disagree with the audience. The audience laughs because the disagreement is stupid. The jester has turned around. He's still on stage, but now he's facing the crowd with a pointer. Stage three, the comedian stops making jokes. The comedian identifies incorrect beliefs and explains why they're dangerous. Audience does not laugh. Audience claps. The jester is gone. In his place is a hall monitor with a desk and a band. Stage four, audiences watch not for entertainment, but for certification. Having seen last night's episode means that you know which words are current. Not having seen it means you might use yesterday's vocabulary in today's meeting. The show is no longer comedy, it's a credential. Watching it means you're educated. Not watching it means that you are a person being discussed. We made a show that you watch to prove that you're not the kind of person who doesn't watch it. That's a closed loop. Closed loops don't need consent, they need continuity. We provide continuity for $50 million a year. Comedian whose entire historical function was to say things too dangerous for anyone to say became the person who decides which things are too dangerous for anyone to say. And the audience applauded every night for 2,500 nights because being told what is forbidden feels exactly like being told what you already knew. Prohibition performed as validation. I put that into the deck too. Our audience was correct about everything. I know this because the applause everything. Blah, blah, blah. I know this because they applauded everything we said. The applause proves the correctness. The correctness justifies the applause. We called this audience research. The methodology was peer reviewed by the audience. They approved unanimously every night. The actual funny comedians laughed. They went to do podcasts, to clubs, to rooms where the audiences don't know what's coming, and that uncertainty is the point. They took the laughter with them. We kept the applause. We called those spaces problematic. The that's market differentiation. The problematic spaces are funnier, but funny is not our product. We lost $40 million a year. We didn't lose it because the show failed. We lost it because we spent $50 million producing what a podcast host in his garage, or like us in a bedroom, uh, gives away between mattress ads. No, we will take mattress ads. If you're a mattress company that somehow stumbles on this, please give us a
Yes,
mattress ad.
if you are some rando that is willing to pay us for this and you want better, we are open to be prostituted.
The podcast is funnier. The podcast is more dangerous. The podcast has an audience that laughs instead of claps. But we had the Ed Sullivan Theater. We had 461 seats. We had a former Beatle play the farewell episode. Paul McCartney, Elvis Costello, John Batiste, and Louis Cato playing Hello Goodbye like it was a benediction. I booked the Beatles for a funeral. The Beatles played the stage in '64, and the audience screamed so loud that you couldn't hear the music. Our audience didn't scream; they wept politely. That's the difference between entertainment and a church. We ran a church. Jon Stewart showed up for the finale and did a bit where he pretended to deliver a corporate statement from Paramount about the cancellation. The audience laughed. It was the first time they laughed in a way I didn't recognize. Involuntary. Surprised, dangerous. For 90 seconds, a comedian was in the building again. Then it was over. John Oliver said, "At some point, this may come for all of our shows," and then added, "But Stephen, what's important to remember is that tonight it's going to eat you." The audience laughed again, involuntary again. 2 moments of actual comedy in a 3-hour farewell, both of them about death. The finale drew 6.74 million viewers, the biggest weeknight audience in our history. More people came to the funeral than ever visited the patient. I know what they were mourning, not comedy. Comedy died in 2016. Not the man. The man is fine. He's wealthy. What they mourned was the permission structure. Starting from today, they have to decide what to believe on their own. They have to form an opinion without waiting for a man behind the desk to form it first and deliver it with a knowing look. Some of them haven't done that since 2015. The funeral wasn't for the show; it was for the certainty. He joked about the Peanuts theme music license cost on his last night. "Oh no, I hope this doesn't cost CBS any money." The audience laughed. It was a joke about money and the network losing money. The last joke was about money, not about truth, not about power, about a licensing fee for a cartoon piano riff. 11 years, and the final joke was about accounting. I think that's perfect. The show was always about accounting. We just dressed it up as a conscience. The President of the United States, the man we spent 11 years explaining was a dangerous to an audience that had already believed he was dangerous, posted an AI generated video of our host being thrown into a dumpster on the late night show set. Trump danced to YMCA in this clip. It's viewed more times in 4 hours than our farewell managed in a week. His production cost, zero. Ours, negative $50 million a year. We manufactured his relevance every night at 11:35 for 11 years, and he never paid a dime. We were his marketing department. He turned our funeral into content. His ROI is infinite. Ours required a write-off and a farewell concert. The Strike Force 5, Fallon, Kimmel, Myers, Oliver, appeared in a segment about late night losing one middle-aged white man who made jokes about the news. They were joking about their own obsolescence. All of them know, none of them will say it. The format is dead. Audiences have moved to phones. Phones don't have desks or bands. The phones have men in garages who are allowed to be wrong, allowed to be surprised, allowed to say something that their audience hasn't already approved. That's comedy. We stopped doing that a decade ago. We didn't. We did approval. Approval looks like comedy from a distance. Up close, it's a church. I did not feel guilty. Guilt would require me to believe I took something from them. I didn't take anything. They came to us. Every night, they chose catechism over comedy. They preferred correction over surprise, certainty over danger, instruction over laughter. They wanted to be told, not challenged, not shocked, not made to laugh again. Their will at something that they didn't see coming. They wanted to see it coming. They wanted to mouth along. That's not comedy, that's karaoke. We ran the most expensive karaoke bar in television history, and the only miscalculation was charging a cover when the songs are free on every phone. We turned a gesture into a priest. We turned an audience into a congregation. We turned laughter into obedience. We turned a political engagement into passive consumption. We turned comedy shows into permission structures and charged $50 million a year to tell people what they already believed in a voice slightly nicer than their own. They were so grateful they showed up to mourn us. 6.7 million of them and weeping for certainty. Applause is more reliable than laughter. I proved it. The proof cost 450 million. One character, one comedian's capacity for danger, and one audience's willingness to act. The metric went up.
So
And this is
go ahead.
based on several different pieces that were assembled together.
See, I was going to say, when you showed me this pre-show and you proposed that it was an actual thing said by an actual guy, I was like, well, that's dangerous and shouldn't be. Once you read it, I noticed several places that it felt really AI generated.
Yes.
And normally people are like, oh, AI generated, how do you know? You can't prove. It's like, no, I actually can. Because the AI has...
If you work with AI, it has a
Right.
patois.
It has a cadence that is recognizable. It's not just M dashes. The AI cannot meaningfully describe content, so it uses simile. Like is like is like, right? So
It also uses computer terminology.
Right.
A lot.
So we did a thing. That's not this. That's market differentiation. That's control. It's like, sure, those things might be true, but you didn't actually justify how those things are those things. You simply made assertions and then stormed onward. Right? So it might be true, but it now feels more fake having read it.
Yes.
Right? Especially because it so incredibly masks off about the idea that basically we're as evil as we possibly can. Because there's just one thing I notice as a problem. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's that anecdote about this guy who said, hey, what if we were just funny? And they reassigned him someplace else. They didn't fire him, they sent him someplace else.
That's actually normal in Hollywood.
Right. More than once, multiple times, almost as an accusation, this person says, we operated at a $40 million loss.
$50 million loss.
Or $50 million loss. It's like, okay, what's your assessment? How much more money would you have made from actual jokes? Because there's a problem here. There's a historical problem that's not addressed.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Stephen Colbert did not inherit a new show.
He did not.
He inherited the Tonight Show from the guy he was speaking to almost a week before the cancellation. He used to do the top 10 list. His name is falling out of my head.
David Letterman. He didn't actually inherit it from Letterman.
No, did he get it from the other guy? Did he get it from the Chin?
He got it from Conan, who was supposed to give it to somebody else when he went to the Tonight Show.
The important thing is, though, is that if you follow the lineage of these shows back, right? They mentioned it. It goes all the way back to Ed.
It does go back to Ed.
This was a legacy of success And the argument here being made about we proved that we can control you, right, is we burned a successful property that made money at a loss to prove we were right,
No,
and
that's not.
I got a promotion.
No, that's not what they're saying.
Th-
Because
that is what they're describing.
No, that's actually not what they're describing if you understand how business works now.
Mm.
Business is an extraction model. What you
Right.
need to do is make extraction the most efficient way possible. They didn't drive into the ground to control people. They set up a structure where extraction would become easier. And that is essentially the same as control. Because it created an affirmation based fan response that required you to watch the show. Or, to quote the famous Red Letter Media line, consume product and get excited for next product. So the issue is that they focused on applause. The 90-something% applause metric correlates strongly to certain things. So you need to have more applause. If you have more applause, the bosses get bonuses.
Here's the problem. I'm not saying that this is wrong. I'm saying this is just the problem with this analysis if this is true.
Mhm.
What you have outlined is that the people in Hollywood and behind TV,
Yes.
rather than actually measure practical results, have
Right.
instead decided to measure Pavlovian response.
Well, let me retort to that. Let's say, for example, that putting Henry Cavill in something will lead to a 10% increase in revenue.
Yep.
Hypothetically speaking.
Sure.
Well, Henry Cavill's going to say, well, I should get at least 3% off of that.
Right.
But if you say, well, actually, applause going up by 25% leads to this increase in revenue. Applause can't be given credit to any individual person because there's the writing team, there's the writing team, there's the performer reading the lines, there's the music, there's a whole composition. But
Right.
I mean, you as the producer setting that metric and managing to achieve that metric, well, you're clearly responsible, so you should get the 3% bonus.
So first, we're back at Galen Hurd again.
Mhm.
People
Yes.
using their producer credits to fuck the product. But secondly, you didn't invalidate what I said.
I
Here's
wasn't
the thing.
trying to.
Here's
I
the
wasn't
thing.
trying to.
You take a seal, right?
Mhm.
You throw the seal a fish.
Yes.
The seal claps. He has
Yes.
received fish.
Yes.
That is phase one, right?
Yes.
Slowly but surely, you give the seal less fish, but the seal has learned to clap on command.
Yes.
Right? Eventually, you don't even give him a fish, but when you pull out the bucket, he starts to clap because he knows a fish is in it.
Yes.
Even if the bucket is empty.
Yes.
That is not a sustainable model for two reasons. Do you know what those two reasons
Well,
are?
hold up, Joe. Hold up. How is that my problem as a producer who, by the time the model starts to get thin, I will have a better job? And then if anybody were to say to me, well, didn't you fuck this show? I'm like, look, market trends changed. Everybody's watching podcasts now. It's not my fault that the show is part of a dead business model. I did my best to maximize returns.
But that's even worse. That's even
Joe,
here's the thing.
Joe, are you operating under the delusion that reality is going to be good or worse?
No, I'm not operating under delusion. I'm saying that the problem here is, right, is that okay, we go with your assertion. The immediate producer says, well, it's not my problem. That's the next guy, right?
Yeah.
And the next guy says, well, I didn't break it. It was already broken when I got here, which is true.
Right, but if you blame the previous producer, you're then labeled as problematic and hard to work with.
Right. So he doesn't blame him. He just says it is broken by happenstance. It happened to be broken when I got here. I don't know how it happened.
Well, no.
Right?
What he'll do is he'll go with the thing, well, listen, people just don't like talk shows anymore.
Right. But the thing is that then you have the third guy who shows up and says, "Okay, I'm here to work for Hollywood," right?
Mhm.
And it's like,
Mhm.
well, sorry, guy, they've all gone to podcasts. It's like, yeah, but I followed the steps to work for Hollywood. It's like, yeah, well, you missed the boat. It's like, no, he didn't miss the boat. You burned the boat the fuck down.
I mean, that is a reasonable reading of how reality works. Yes, Joe.
But here's the thing: all of the people in that line, right? What you're saying is that their response was, well, everything has to be fine. Why? Well, because applause says so. The guy one said the applause is good, so everything is working. Guy two said, well, the applause was working, so everything must be working. Guy three says, well, the guys before me said the applause was working, so it must be working. So this is just some kind of inexplicable magical accident out of nowhere that nothing works, and I am a victim. It's like, no, that's the system. You guys set up the system, implemented the system, and resolved the system. You did it.
Yes. That is what's happening.
Well, that is fucking retarded.
Yeah.
It's
And that's how we get Mandalorian and Grogu.
the thing is, the reason it's retarded is not because of its destructiveness, although that is certainly bad, right? It is because of how it interacts with the other systems in place that both allow it to be destroyed and then salt the ashes. And let's
Joe,
use a mango and
Joe.
grok as the example.
Joe, how does that matter? All that matters is there's something good and reportable. That they can get their bosses a bonus when they have their quarterly investor report.
So, well, because here's the thing. Let's pull up something that I linked to you earlier today. You might not have had a chance to read it. Now, mind you, this came out in 2023, but it somehow hit my feed tonight. Okay. This is actually from Bill Willingham himself. So the cow came forward. Okay. 3 years ago. Fables is in the public domain.
Yes.
He put Fables in the public domain because over the course of years after setting up Fables and making DC a lot of money,
DC violated their contract
repeatedly and escalatingly so. The current stewards of DC are not the good men that Bill Willingham worked with previously. Right?
Yes.
That is phenomenal.
That actually happened a while ago, and we've talked about it previously on the show.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it happened to show up in my pocket. And I was like, I don't remember this. But here's the thing. By putting it back into the public domain, all of these fairy tale characters that he invented, right? You create a living ecology of ideas, the marketplace of ideas. Other people can take these toys and play with them, right? So even the people that have burned down the forest left seeds behind so that something new could grow up, right? But if we look at our major media, because usually we're talking about comics, movies, television, what have you, right? Mm-hmm. You have producers burning down the forest and saying, not my problem, but then using copyrights and aggressive legal structures to lock down and secure creative content so that it never becomes free from its iron-fisted masters.
Yes.
Meaning that...
You know why, Joe?
Do tell.
They get a bonus for doing that.
Right, but then what exactly is Disney going to do, say, I don't know, in the next 5 years when they run out of shit to buy?
Well, that's whoever the CEO in 5 years is problem.
So you mean that's when Disney dies? But even though the company will die, all their shit will stay in receivership in a lockdown thing until other rich people buy it.
No, Joe, they already have a plan for that. To have Apple buy Disney.
Right, but then Apple's going to own all that shit, which means it still doesn't go back into the circulation.
Well, no, it is, because Apple has their own streaming service. and then Apple's going to be responsible for making all of Disney's stuff.
Until Apple fails.
Right, but Apple can't fail because it's selling a hardware product. And it's mostly financed by its hardware product.
What do you mean can't fail? Of course Apple can fail. Apple streaming can fail. Their ability to stream can fail. And then they would have to license it out to other people.
No. So Apple streaming is a write-off for Apple's hardware. So if Apple streaming loses money, Apple's hardware pays less in taxes.
Okay.
Further, Apple would, as a lifestyle brand, get ownership of all of the Disney parks and all of the ecosystem of lifestyle branders that are in the Disney park system and make them lifelong Apple consumers.
All right, I have to make a truly awful comparison, and this disgusts me and is going to hurt me on the inside. Are you literally telling me that the future is going to belong to EA?
Well, I mean, no, because EA is going to end up getting consumed by Apple in this.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Apple's behavior is EA-like.
All the big companies behave like EA now.
That's not a good thing when everybody fucking hates EA, man.
I mean, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it is.
You're saying it exists. I understand that, but I'm also saying like,
and this AI amalgam of several actual legitimate pieces of data it's a point of testimony about where everything's going and why it's gotten the way it's gotten. But I got something that's a little less dour that we can talk about.
Oh, good. You have something sweet to follow up all that poison.
I mean, it is. 1 second. Let me get this set up. And go over here.
Is it Afro Man again?
It is not. It is not. Afro Man doesn't have anything good in the news yet.
I think you want to talk about TV. I think Afro Man deserves a show.
I don't know. Are we gonna see? I mean, are we gonna see Miss Marvel again? You can't say anything.
Next.
I'm still hoping for the Young Avengers team up because the Ironheart show is amazing.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I did.
Yeah.
That character got me into Miss Marvel. I love Ironheart. I think she's.
No, she did not say she liked the show. She said she liked the character of Riri Williams.
Yeah, she's being very careful not to engage whether she likes things or not while that guy says the platitudes he is supposed to say to keep her a guest.
But it's also very smart what she's doing.
It's like so underused.
Yeah.
Even in comics, like
So
people need to
good.
keep doing stuff with her. I will say I'm of a Champions fan than Young
Yep.
Avengers. I think the storylines are way more relevant.
Sure, okay.
But I also
Who gives a
none
shit
of
about
us are gonna be
relevance, young
by the
lady?
time they get around
I
to that.
know. Yeah. I mean,
No.
Catherine Newton is like incredible,
Yeah.
and
Haley.
Haley is incredible in that role.
Yeah.
That show was great too. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, those shows that came out like right at the beginning, like Hawkeye and Winter Soldier, those
Moon Knight,
those are all so
WandaVision.
good. WandaVision, my
Yeah.
God.
It's such personality.
Yeah.
That's what I love. It really
Again, you notice she's saying platitudes.
Well, so is
She's-
the other guy. This is literally a mutual jerk session, but nobody's gonna finish.
Well, hold up.
felt like the comics, you know.
Yeah.
Especially WandaVision, even Moon Knight. Like it's so singular, and yeah, I love Miss Marvel
So
for that
good.
reason.
My friend Terry Metalis is doing Vision Quest. He wrote and directed and
Mhm.
show ran all that stuff. So
Yeah, me too. I love those characters.
So, Iman Vellani is doing her own comic book.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of that because she's a very positive, very bubbly person. I'm sure if she had enough stroke, we might have gotten a decent Miss Marvel movie. We might have gotten a decent Miss Marvel show.
My cynical response is to say I hope they do well. But I'm not going to comment one way or the other until we see the product.
I mean, I've already queued myself up to get our comic book when it comes out.
Well, there you go.
Because again, I'm not necessarily sure. I'm 100% down with her artistic vision, but I want to support her artistic vision because I think she's a positive force for good in Hollywood. And Hollywood used to be able to see people like this and say, this person will be someone who can hold up a $500 tentpole payday for us. But we
Well,
need to build vehicles to get them up to that level.
well, let's be really charitable. Not in a disingenuous way. I'm saying let's assume the best for Iman for just a moment, right?
Mhm.
She's a little bit younger, but she is not falling into the trap Tom Holland fell into, and I think that's a good thing.
But
She's
Tom Holland has
also
actually worked more than she has. Tom has
has
been a professional since he's like in his early teens.
he has, and she's also not falling into the direction that what is it, Maisie Davis, the girl that played Arya, fell
Mhm.
into following Game of Thrones, which is rather than focus on their craft
Mhm.
and be craft centric, they decided to use their craft as a platform. So did the girl that played what is it, Sophie
Yeah.
from Game of Thrones? Yeah, they all thought, I've made it. Now is my time to act like I'm somebody, and it has hurt them as actors, even though they've continued to work, and has made people less inclined to watch their material because they failed to remember that you have to remain likable.
Now, you know somebody who focused on being craft centric as an actor before he started saying a bunch of dumb shit?
Do tell.
Dave Bautista.
I mean, his craft was wrestling, but sure.
No. I mean, his movie craft. He focused on being a better actor before he started letting the dumb out.
Well, because I could also say the same thing of, frankly, weird as it sounds, James Woods, who I found
Yes.
out apparently has gone on to voice every instance of Disney's Hades that has ever been done.
For
He for
essentially
almost
scale.
free. Yeah. Um, he
Because
often gets
he loved the job so much.
right. He often gets his big boy pants on and proceeds to say some of the stupidest shit imaginable. But he's also James Woods. Like he could have a part anytime he wanted. He doesn't need to work.
Exactly. James Wood still gets residuals.
Right.
For when residuals actually meant something.
Right.
But right now, Hollywood's in a bad place because they don't know how to make stars. They don't know how to put a rocket on someone's ass and send them to the moon and make money. Because that's their real business. Like, once upon a time in Hollywood, I saw Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio together for the first movie, and I'm like going, Jesus Christ, why haven't these guys been in like a half dozen movies already?
I mean, they have, but I know what you mean.
No, they haven't. That was their first movie together.
Who the fuck am I thinking of? Who did you say again?
Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt.
Right, no, to get them together. No, I don't know why, but my brain went Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, who have done a million movies together.
Well, yeah, they came up together.
Yeah, no, my brain slipped a gear somewhere. I need coffee. I don't know.
But yeah, that's the thing. Hollywood doesn't know how to do its job because it's more focused on people clapping than having a good time. Because having a good time, as was the case with Mandalorian Grogu, is it's about taking risks.
Well, there's
And sometimes when you try to not take risks, when you're doing a show about old people, you take risks accidentally because you're being true about old people.
well, there's that, but I think this is also incredibly important for the people that have made it. They have decided, and they're deciding earlier than they used to, that they don't need to try anymore. Like I was just saying, James Woods could have a role anytime he wanted one.
Mhm.
Right? I've been watching Boston Legal recently, and like it had Renee Asher recently passed. It had It has James Spader. It had
William
Candace
Shatner.
and William Shatner. Had Candace Bergen. A lot of people who could just walk into almost any production and be like, "Can I get a job?" And then they don't even have to read anymore, right?
Yeah.
So they can pick and choose what they want and actually give their best to it. That's the important part.
Mhm.
They do what they want to do, right? Uh, I did not watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because it offends me on a
What,
personal level.
why does it offend you on a personal level?
Because it's Quentin Tarantino telling a falsified fictional history of LA like it really was, but it's only a story in which not only does Brad Pitt beat up Bruce Lee, right? Which
Well,
is
hold up.
loosely based
Hold
on a
up.
historical event, but not how that historical event went down.
Mm.
But he also happens to defeat the evil that is the
The
fuck
Manson.
is the
The
Manson
Manson.
family murders before the Manson family murders happened. But it's just a story that could have been, guys.
No,
It is.
that's not the point of the movie.
No, I'm not talking about the point. I'm saying it's the laziest shit.
No,
And
that's
it
not
was,
late.
and it
No,
was,
no,
and it
no,
was,
no,
and it
no,
was
no, no,
somehow popular enough. They're doing another one.
no, no. That's not what the movie was about.
Okay, do tell me what the movie was about. Enlighten me, Larry.
So the movie's about wrong turns in your life, and the characters keep making wrong turns. But the wrong turns for Leonardo DiCaprio's character and Brad Pitt's character led them to be in the right place at the right time, where the Manson family turned right instead of turning left. So instead of going to Sharon Tate's house, they went to the house where Cliff Booth was. Cliff Booth beat the shit out of them. And Leonardo DiCaprio's character saw these fucking freaky hippie murderers, got his flamethrower out of his garage, and burned them the fuck alive.
To what end?
That life can change on a right turn or a wrong turn. That's the point of the story.
Is that all the story? Because if that's it, that's a fucking lame story.
Uh, there's also, talking about how Hollywood changed. Leonardo DiCaprio's character starts out in a Western like Paladin, and then his career goes into the shitter in the toilet, and it's so bad that he ends up going to Italy and starting to do spaghetti westerns, and then his career becomes good again. So it's
Okay.
also about how things change, how places change, how people changes, but the world just keeps going.
See, you can say all this, but that's not what it's about.
It's absolutely what it's about.
No, what it's
It's a
about,
recurring motif in certain Tarantino movies.
right? But the thing is that that's not why Tarantino's making it. Tarantino's making it because he has reached a level of power and authority where he honestly feels like he doesn't have to try. Okay,
I
he
mean,
is no longer a struggling independent movie actor making interesting independent movie films. He's making big budget theater films and telling the tales the way he wants, which sounds lovely, except the tales he's telling are his own curated history of the way the world ought to be. Wouldn't it have been so
oh
much cooler if we had just murdered the shit out of Hitler during World War II
no,
with
no,
a bunch of
that's
super heroic super Jews?
no, that's not it at all. Because that movie, especially, is based off of an actual movie. It's him redoing a schlock movie in his vision.
Right, but he's somehow not schlock.
No, no, he's high budget schlock. He would say that
He's high
himself.
budget schlock, and I want my money back.
I mean, if you went in there and paid for high budget schlock, you got high budget schlock.
Quite frankly, I bought the high budget schlock because I was told the high budget schlock was good. So when I watched the high budget schlock, I was greatly displeased. The last Quentin Tarantino film that I vaguely liked was The Hateful Eight. And do you know why I liked that? Because it boils down to three people.
Mhm.
Can you name the three people?
Samuel L. Jackson's character,
Sam Jackson,
Kurt Russell's character.
Kurt Russell,
Oh fuck, who's the female actress?
no, Goggins.
Goggins. Three excellent actors.
3 good
They-
actors alongside a couple of good character actors that you know, like William Dern and that guy that is in almost everything Quentin Tarantino does. And other than that, it was a pretty shitty movie, but it was fun to ride.
Man,
It
we
was
have
halfway
such.
decent.
Also, some of the casting choices in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood I love. You know who got to play Squeaky Fromm?
No.
Not Squeaky Fromm, but it was another one of the Manson girls. Lena Dunham played one of the lead Manson girls.
Mm.
So the crazy bitch who molested her sister played a crazy bitch who followed Charles Manson.
I mean, look, man, every so often Hollywood does typecasting. What do you want?
I mean, no, that's good. It's a good movie.
Mm.
And like Clifford Booth actually makes a wrong turn, and also the his character also is connected to the Richard Wagner story. How Richard Wagner's wife drowned in a boat accident.
Mm.
So he's also that archetype from Hollywood.
Well, you know what the interesting part about this as we near the time, because it has gotten away from us. We actually ate up our 2-hour block with interesting things. We still have more stuff on the plate we didn't even get to.
That is often the fate of our show.
That is often the fate of our show. But what I find interesting about this particular debate, because you seem amazed at some of the things I don't like.
I mean, we're different. We have different tastes.
Right. But the thing is that the important codifier here is the number of things we actually agree on. The number of classic beats we like.
Yes.
Like, from conversation, I think we can just extract that Larry and Joe like spaghetti westerns, the old spaghetti westerns, the classics, because they're classics.
And
right?
the spaghetti westerns are simple stories told well, all of them.
Which has always been my byline. Simple stories well told. I've always said this should be the focus. And we
That
can
should
have
always be
the.
your goal.
I'm sorry, what?
That should always be your goal.
And I find it interesting that we can have that discussion and even have disagreement and keep going in an era, since we were just talking about the selected language and the church of vocabulation, where we are increasingly told, no, you have to use the curated list of words, and if you're not using the appropriate words, then you must be the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Like this show is made up of people who refuse to watch the Tonight Show.
I mean, we're gonna file this away. We need to talk about late night TV because it's dying. Saturday Night Live and the Tonight Show are gonna last just because of their historical value. But we need to talk about what it was like when you were a kid in high school and you wanted to stay up late on Saturday Night Live.
Oh yeah.
And that
Oh,
was
I
something
used to.
you needed to do.
Here's the thing. When I was like 17 and 18, I used to drive my dad up the wall.
Mhm.
So I'm just a quick drop here. I saw the episode with Christopher Walken on Saturday Night Live, where he did more cowbell live, right? But before that, I had watched Almost Live, which was a local sketch comedy program of some consequence. It's where Bill Nye the Science Guy got his start, right?
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just saying, like back when Bill used to be funny, he was on a local comedy show that was quite good. It had this bit called The Lame List, which was a listing of lame things according to the Seattle heavy metal community. Back when Seattle had a heavy metal community. They would actually get metal guys like Alice in Chains to talk about what was shitty in the world today.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad would wake up to like go to work and he'd be pissed off because I'd still be awake at 3 a.m. watching Cartoon Network. Like, we said you could stay up till midnight to watch till after midnight to watch Saturday Night Live. We didn't say you could stay up to watch forever. It's like, yeah, but come on, man. Tomorrow's Sunday. I'm not going anywhere. What's the problem? It's like, go to bed. Ah! repeatedly.
And with that, we're gonna say goodnight, everybody. We had a good show.
Good night,
Night, everybody.
everybody.